Yeah. Hey, this is Breakout Room podcast episode 4. Here we are on an online meeting and we are going to have a podcast with one of my friends from high school. Um, Now I'm not in the podcast room because it's being done online. And today we are going to have a really fun discussion. So tune in, do not miss out. So, what's up, Mr. Hussein? We would-
Thank you very much. Well, it goes. What can I say? Thank you for inviting me here. It's my very first
Of
time being
course.
on a podcast, and I'm a little bit excited, to be honest. I hope everything goes well.
Yeah, I hope so, and I'm excited too. So as the first one, as we always do, I'm gonna ask you about your background, and you're gonna introduce yourself a bit for the listeners. What are you doing? How are you doing? What do you do? How's life in general?
Well, as you mentioned, my name is Mohammadhossein Hosseini. I'm 22, and I'm currently living in Tehran, the capital of Islamic Republic of Iran. And I'm a student of Allama Tabatabai University. I'm studying finance and accounting at the same time, two majors. I know it may sound a little bit crazy, but I'll explain later. Um, and well, that's it. I'm studying, nothing so special. Uh, since I was in high school, I was a book nerd. I always
Yeah,
loved studying and reading different books. And I used to be the top student most of the times. And even now at university, I try to, save my position to keep the victory and so on. But well, where should I begin?
well, we can
How
start from the high school. Yeah,
The high school. Yeah.
yeah,
Since my parents expected me so much, they wanted me to go somewhere fascinating, one of those high schools that are meant to be for brilliant and genius students. Well, they pushed me to study harder and harder. And finally, I got into one of those high schools, which is called Energy Atomy High School or Atomic Energy, however you like to say it. Um, and then I spent 3 years studying at middle school at Energy Atomy High School. And after that, I continued my studies in the very same high school for the last 3 years of my education, and where I got to be your classmate.
yeah.
Um,
Brilliant.
Unfortunately, for the last year and a half, we had to deal with coronavirus.
Yes.
So we couldn't be in touch face to face. We had to deal with those online classes. But well, it went smoothly. I tried my chance to take a part in literature Olympiad, but well, it
Yeah.
didn't end well.
Yeah, that is
So
another story. Yeah,
yeah, another
like
story.
example of
Cool.
corruption. Yeah, but uh, okay, yeah.
And
So how this brilliant school for geniuses shaped you now as a person here in your life?
well, how can I say? In that high school, I met so many good people, especially so many good teachers. They taught me so many things about human science or about philosophy, about books, about literature. And I don't know, maybe if I meant to be in a very normal high school, I couldn't be I couldn't meet those people, and maybe my life would have gone in a different way. But being in that school and meeting those people, those teachers, uh, made me the person I am right now. Because my father is an engineer, my mother is a doctor, and I'm sure if I was going to another school, I would definitely end up in another major like engineering or I don't know, being a doctor and something like this. But now, thanks to this high school and thanks to those good teachers, specifically the tutor we had, Mr. Qaidi, in that school, I hope you know him,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he brilliantly changed the way I used to live. I was going to be a physics nerd who wanted to study engineering, mechanics, and things like this, but he changed my life, and I got interested into human science, and now I'm more of a businessman than an engineer.
Yeah, that is. Uh, I would say a life-changing moment to be taught by Mr. Reidi because he was also one of the people who could really understand people around him so well. And what I remember from those days was he really tried to help us out with anything we needed help with. Um, but yeah, now as studying finance and accounting at the same time, what would be the future and how do you think it would turn out? Or what are your thoughts on that before going to the next topic?
Uh, Usually out of this country, people take a major and a minor at the same time. If they want to, they can take both degrees and graduate like a normal student. But in Iran, things are a little bit different. Uh, you should take two majors at the same time, so things will get a little bit complicated. You will have so much problem with the schedule and the studies, with exams. Most of the semesters I have two or three exams in one day, and it's pretty hard to handle all those things. But in general, I think it worth the shot. I mean, yeah, that was hard. I had to cut off my free time. I had to spend more time studying for my lessons, and I had to deal with so much stress. But well, in the end, I think it can be a good point in my resume when I want to apply for a job or apply for a university course abroad.
Yeah, I would think so. And uh, so regarding that, later on we will have a topic about what you do, which is accounting and finance. But before that, uh, people now know that I do business psychology in the university, and I want to get into a topic in relation with psychology a bit and philosophy, um, which is about people, of course, because that is what I like to read and research about. And the first question of mine is why we as people are seeking for validation on a daily basis and why we change ourselves to get that validation in the first place. Um, from a psychological perspective first, and then from a philosophical perspective of it. What do you think?
Well, that's a very good question. Since I'm not an expert in psychology, maybe my answers are a little bit inaccurate, but I think that's the way we have learned to live our life. I mean, since we were kids, we were introduced to this mechanism of punishment and being rewarded. When we used to do something good, our parents would reward us. And when we used to do something bad, our parents would punish us. So since then, we have learned to seek for someone's validation. At first, it's our parents. We were looking for our parents' validation. And then, when we get older and older, we start our role in society and we try to shape our social identity. We finally end up like, we try to be validated by the society because that's how it makes us feel fit in. Because if we don't fit into society, we time by time slowly would get abandoned from the society, and we are scared from that feeling. We don't want to feel abandoned, so
Yes.
we try to seek validation from people, try to do things they want us to do, and totally be a normal person like they want us to be.
Yeah. I would say from evolutionary perspective, um, we should have been in groups many years ago to be able to survive in old ages. So that is why our brain is programmed to always seek being in a group. So now, even if like thousands of years has passed, we are now again seeking to be in a group and to fit in a group. That's why we start seeking for validation. But then what it brings about and what it causes is the fact that you try to change yourself to seek for the validation, even though it might not be that necessary for you, and you will be get used to it. So the question that might be arised is whether do you live for yourself or for others' opinions, which is kind of a bit different because kind of a bit difficult to answer because society norms and social norms are another controversial topic that I like to again discuss due to the fact that there are norms that are unwritten, that are actually set by our previous generations, and that's I think what makes it hard to actually discuss about. So what do you
Yeah,
think?
that's quite an interesting point you're saying. I think it's a very basic matter, in comparison with what I said, because I just generally said we try to fit in the society, and
Mhm.
you said why we want to fit into society. And that's quite interesting. And I do believe in this evolutional progress, or whatever you say. And I think first we want to find out these changes and the very basic reason of these feelings, these needs.
Mhm.
We should check our background from our grandparents years ago, maybe when they were used to live in caves and things like this, to
Mhm.
understand why we do exactly need those psychological attention and validation.
Yeah, but how far should we change ourselves to actually meet that? That is,
Well,
uh,
when we fit into society, there were always people who maybe disagree, or maybe they don't like us, or people who turn out to be our enemies or whatever. So we cannot always get validation from everyone, but from time to time, it's good to see and somehow check what we have done to seek validation, to take validation from other people, and see if they were necessary or not. You know what I mean? uh, you know, it's like some checking a monthly or yearly report on your actions, on things you have done to get that attention or validation from other people. And when we learn that we did something which wasn't necessary, or we sought some sort of validation that it wasn't necessary, for the next year we can change our, or for the next month we can change our attitude. We can be a different person. But about the question of how much should we seek validation, well, it's very hard to say, because there's no exact measurement tool for that. For
Yeah,
some people who are introverts, they may meet a very few people in their life, and maybe they have only one best friend. They have their parents, maybe no siblings, no close relatives. Maybe that very few people are important for him. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
But
yeah.
for people who are extroverts and they meet so many people, who know so many people, well, if they get validation from the majority of those friends, everything can go smoothly for them. They're all right. They don't need to seek validation for the minority.
Hmm. That is, yeah, that would be a thoughtful answer. My answer to that would be uh, the checking method is really a useful tool that you can use. Not for just this, but for anything in your life that you want to keep track of. But for this question specifically, I would say that you have to first define your core values. What do you value the most? And then, uh, whenever you want to change yourself a bit, you can take a look at this or have that in your mind, and then you can like decide what to do easier. But another thing would be um, that if you want to fit in the society, you have to also be flexible, because if you do not compromise, you cannot get anywhere. Especially in interpersonal relationships, at your workplace or in your school projects, if you are not that flexible, or at least to some extent flexible, and you don't compromise, you cannot do that. Uh, but again, it sometimes might give you the feeling that you are not yourself and you are changing yourself. So um, I would like to again ask you how to confront this feeling, or how to confront those situations in which you are doubtful about what to do in regard with this discussion.
You mean about seeking validation?
Yes, seeking validation and being flexible at your workplace or any given situation. Um, yeah, again, the question would be, how should you kind of be flexible? The previous question was, how, to what extent should you be? This question is, how should you be flexible? But these are, abstract concepts, so they might be a bit complex. But yeah, it's
Well, to be
just,
honest, I think some psychologists maybe uh, proper to answer this question, because it is so hard. I mean, as I said, is since there's no actual tool to measure this kind of validation, it is personal. I mean, from person to person, it is totally different.
yeah. So how do you do that as a person? Is it
Um,
important for you to being validated by others or no?
for me, being validated by my parents is the most important thing. But after
Yeah.
that, usually I don't care about what people say. I mean, I do care, since I'm a very good and social person. I'm usually act by the norm. I'm not
Mhm.
one of those psychos. So when I usually I don't hear so many bad comments about myself. So for me, if I ever hear someone talking about my behavior or maybe hate me or whatever, I
Mm-hmm.
usually don't care about it. I mean, I try to look at the bright side. I try to look at all the friends who validates me, all the
Yeah.
things I've done, all the good things I'm capable of. So
Yeah.
those things give me energy and enough strength to deal with those bad and negative thoughts and comments.
Mm-hmm. So you said that you don't care about others' opinion, but we are living in a world that is hard to achieve that because of social media, the news, and how today's world is working. So how could you achieve that? That you don't care about others' opinion? Because I have seen many people really are stressed about what is being said about them. So how did you achieve that, in your opinion, or how do you deal with it?
Uh, well, it takes time, I have to say. Uh, Generally, validation is not a bad thing. I mean, if you look for validation, it's not a bad thing because
Not only
validation can
validation, for
sometimes support
example.
your yeah can
Yeah.
sometimes support your mental health. Sometimes it encourages you to do good things and keep going in your path. And the most important thing, I guess, as a businessman, is that validation helps you to build relationships,
Yeah.
especially in the workplace. If you are a good businessman, you can make good connections, and it is a very vital matter for a businessman. So, validation generally it's not a bad thing, but seeking validation too much can be harmful, and it can make you feel bad about yourself. But you
Mm-hmm.
said you were right. In today's world, people are looking for every kind of validation they can. For example, they on their social media they post different things from themselves. They
Yeah.
make stories, short videos, reels, everything, and well, they care too much about how many likes, comments, and views they get. I think that's one of the uh, negative sides of social media. So I tried to quit social media myself because they were giving me these bad vibes.
Yeah.
And I deleted my Instagram account and I tried to quit these social media platforms because they encourage you to do something to be seen by others, to be
Yeah.
validated by others, to get likes, comments, and things like this. And those things are not necessary. I mean, literally, they don't do anything in my life. Instagram, Threads, X, and other platforms. Um, have them or not, they won't change my path. They won't change my future.
Yeah.
And so I just quit them. It was hard. It was hard for me, but I quit them. And that's the best thing I did. I'm literally a calm person living in the ocean, listening to the
Yeah.
song of the birds and keep calm and keep going.
You will also have more free time. It takes a lot of time. I mean,
Yes, more free
reels and
time, and
stuff.
I can spend that free time playing with my friends. No,
Yeah,
actually, those who I care about. Yeah, that's
of
as a
course.
hobby. I used to play games and things like this. So it's better. It's really better than spending time on social media, seeing these fantastic, perfect people, and feel bad about yourself. I prefer to be with my friends.
Oh yeah, that's nice. And I would say that the way that I look at this, it is not always about the validation. Sometimes you are concerned about what people say about you, criticize you, or negative comments or such things. And the way you can deal with it is to actually take some time thinking about do that or do those comments really matter in my life, in my future, or no, which in this case, the answer would be no, because mostly people and what they say will be forgotten even after a week. So by obsessing with that or by always thinking about what people say about you, you cannot uh, get anywhere. It is not going to help you, but you have to just listen to them and let people talk about you if they want, and just don't care by being aware of the fact that it is just what it is and you cannot change it. You cannot change what people say about you. You can change how you react to that. So that would be the answer. But um, to go further, um, so it was from our side, our point of view. But if you want to look at it from the other side's point of view in the relationship, it might be some red or green flags. How you change yourself for the person, how you treat them, how much you're flexible in the relationship, whether do you compromise, where do you listen to them. So how do you think these things can be defined within a healthy relationship, uh, whether it is a friendship or like a romantic relationship? How the boundaries are defined?
Well, that is a very general question,
Yeah,
but um, about what you said, that people make comments about you, negative or positive comments, and the role of those comments in our relationships, and specifically in a healthy relationship.
yeah,
Well, we have to talk a little bit about those comments, the nature of those comments, whether they are good or bad for our relationships.
hmm,
So, first of all, whenever we face a case that someone's trying to make a comment about us, well, we need to first understand the source of that comment. I mean, we have constructive criticism out there, which can
yeah,
be helpful for us. And we have those toxic people who just want to make fool of us and well, they want to hurt or control us. So, giving comments and not validating people is not always bad. Sometimes they can be constructive, they can be helpful, they can make us grow and become a better person, but we need to set boundaries. You know what I mean? Uh, we need to set boundaries for the people around us. We have to first understand their characteristics, whether they're a toxic person or not. And if they're not a toxic person, if they are our friends or our partner, well, we should talk about it, talk about things we like and we don't like. And I've seen so many couples out there who can negotiate and figure it out. You know what I mean? They
yeah,
can, they say, okay, if you ever, since I did something wrong or I'm totally wrong about something, don't do this in that way. Instead, you
yeah,
can do it in this way. And most of the times it works. I mean, it goes for couples, married couples, or no, newly couples, or whatever. It goes for friends. Personally, I have this experience. And at one time, I tried to warn my friend, one of my friends, about a wrong investment in stock market. And I try to, reason with him. I try to change his mind because I used to think it was a wrong decision. He shouldn't buy that stock, but he did it anyway. So after that, what I said was right. I mean, he lost his money and he lost a very good opportunity. But in the end, he told me, look, thank you for your opinion, but I would appreciate if you give your comment like this. I would appreciate if you
Yeah, yeah,
criticize me in a in this way, not in front of others, to not look down on me and try to make fun of me in front of other people and things like this. So by talking, I think most of their problems will be solved.
of course. And what did you just touched on uh, in psychology is called the framing effect, and we had studied it also in logic in our books, which was about one king that had a dream about. Oh, my mom is calling. Yeah, but okay. Um, let me- okay, do you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah, I was telling you that. Um, let me. But it takes a. Uh,
you were talking about the king.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me. Yeah, yeah. So the king, which had a dream about, I don't know, some tooths being fallen or falling, and one of them stayed, something like that. And he had some sidekicks to kind of interpret that dream. One of them said, "You will leave after all of your family members and relatives are killed or died," and the other one said, "You will outlive all of your relatives and friends and family." So the second one and the first one had basically the same meaning, but the difference were how do you put it into words, which is really important, especially if you want to have improving relationship, and it is important in your also career as well. How can you present your ideas to your boss? How can you present your ideas to the world? Um, and yeah, it is about this, but because we are recording it on Zoom, we have to run another meeting because this meeting is running out of time. So I will stop this recording now. Okay. Yeah, we were talking about stuff about validation and um, compromisation and flexibility and the framing effect of how do you put your message into words. You have to try to choose words wisely in order to be able to convey your message the most accurately. Um, but yeah, that would be the psychological topic for today. Um, Now we are getting into the topic of your interest or your field, uh, finance and accounting. So, what do you want to discuss in regard with these fields? You can start talking about.
Well, there are so many things to discuss. What do you exactly want me to talk about?
Um, Something general, maybe, or specific, but basic. So, the people within like 15 to 40-year old age gap can understand it. Yeah, something like that.
Well, okay. Uh, Usually, for this kind of situations, I talk about the general finance knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important to manage your finance. I mean, one of the very first things you need to deal with as a teenager or as a new grown up,
Yeah.
someone who has passed the juvenile, is to deal with those financial things, pay your tax, saving your money, starting your job, and things you need to do. And thanks to social media, there are so many resources out there, so many people who give different kind of advices, or they have different courses to teach you how to get rich and things like this. One of the famous ones is Andrew Tate. I guess you know him.
Yes.
Uh, he's one of the most famous one. He has a course. I guess the course name is The Real World. Yes, the real
Mm-hmm.
world, and they want to teach you how to make money and things like this. But that's not necessarily good because I don't believe in those courses. But it's very important to know the basic knowledge of finance and financial laws in your country. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
Yeah.
uh, for a young person, for young adults like us, it's really important to manage our funds and at the same time spend them wisely.
Yes.
One of the most important things in our age is investment. There's a wise quote from a famous investor who says, you should always spend uh, equal to amount of your age, the number of your age, in low risk assets
Mm-hmm.
and the rest on high risk assets. For example, if I'm 22, I should spend around 22% of my funds and money on low risk assets and the other half in high risk assets. Is that right? Well, I cannot say, but there's something true about this quote. The younger we are, the more risks we can take. That's a fact. Well, we are young, we are still not married, we don't have our own family, we don't have a wife, kids, and things like this. And we don't have that much money, and we still have time. So we should
Yeah.
take risk and invest. And by making those very basic and first steps in investment, we learn investment day by day. We learn things about our the stock market in our country, and yes, things about law and uh, deals, financial deals, and things like this. So I usually tell people about financial markets and different ways to make investments. I mean, some people may have heard things about, well, investing in a stock market and stuff, but to be more specific, that things are really complicated. Usually, when you want to invest in stock market or any other markets, cryptocurrency or whatever, we have two forms of market analysis. The
Mm-hmm.
first one is technical analysis, and the second one is fundamental analysis. From the scientific perspective, fundamental analysis is valid. It's better. It's based on scientific facts and scientific factors. But technical analysis is more complicated, and it's based on how investors act in the market. So I usually don't recommend people to start with technical analysis because it is an advanced stuff, but they can learn fundamental analysis. There are so many courses out there, free courses on YouTube. They can use those things to learn how to analyze an entity based on their financial reports, based on their business structure, and things like this. But aside from that, what people are usually missing in this stuff is funds. I mean, we have different funds, especially in our country and other countries. We have different funds that people can invest, and the brokers will invest instead of you. I mean, for example,
Yes.
you can invest in funds, for example, gold funds or silver funds or fixed income funds. You can invest them, and there are some skillful and professional investors in those funds who work specifically try to invest your money in the best way possible. And personally, especially in a country like ours, in Iran, I prefer to invest in funds because things are unstable here. Nobody knows about what's coming next in the future, especially after the 12-day war between Iran and Israel. So everything is a little messed up. So I prefer to invest in funds. We have stock funds, fixed income funds, but personally, I prefer gold funds and fixed income funds because, based on the feedbacks I took last year, these two funds are better. They give better profit, and but usually people think, wow, it's too hard to invest in stocks and stuff like this, and they ignore funds. So that's what I say usually to people, especially people who live outside Iran, because inflation rate and economic situation is way better in European countries or Western countries in general. So
Yeah.
I suggest them to invest in fixed incomes because most of the times they're better than investing and putting your money in banks and stuff like this. Um,
So my question would be, how should you manage your budget or your income um, in regard with all things that you have to get in your life? For example, the necessaries, the things that you want to buy, also the uh, investment part. So, do you have any suggestion for any budget management tips, or I don't know, something that goes into that for ordinary people?
well, budget management is a quite interesting topic. First, everyone needs to track their income and their expenses. Well, we usually say for young people who have very low experiences in work and other places, well, they should have a full-time job. It's preferable to have full-time job, or if they're students, they can have a part-time job, or they can work as a, I don't know, as a waiter or as a chef. I don't know. And in the expenses, they usually need to spend 50% of their budget on their needs, like rent, food, transportation, bills, and stuff. 30% on things they want to shop for entertainment, for eating out, I don't know, for games, for movies, for cinema. And they need to save 20% for emergency fund, an investment, and paying off long-term debts. So that's the general rule: 50, 30, 20. 50% on needs, 30% on what you want, and 20% on savings. And well, it's quite good to have an emergency fund. Some people suggest to have an emergency fund, for medical expenses that may occur in the future, or I don't know, some travel expenses that may occur in the future. But I personally prefer to invest more money instead of saving 30% for what I want. I put 20% or 10% for what I want and try to invest 20 to 30% of my money on different markets.
Oh yeah. Um, so I think it has been a quite good discussion we had. We can move to our final topic, and then we can wrap it up. Which in this topic we usually talk about a thing that has inspired us in some way. It can be a book, movie, or person, or something, anything. Um, and then you can start talking about that and why it has inspired you, in what ways also.
Well, that's a pretty hard question.
Hmm.
uh, well, let me think for a moment. What has
Then yeah, I
inspired
can
me?
go. Um, well, I would say um, I don't watch a lot of movies or series. I don't like them. Not that don't like them, but I cannot concentrate just on watching a series or movie for a long time. But one of the few series that I've watched is Ted Lasso, which is, in my opinion, one of the best series out there. And the reason why uh, is it good is because it shows how someone with a certain attitude can come uh, in an environment and change the whole environment, change the way that people think, and make uh, successful people out of like losers, kind of, which is about a coach, football coach or soccer coach, um, that has no experience about football or soccer, but about American football, and he's now becoming uh, a football team coach uh, in Premier League, which is one of the most competitive leagues out there. Um, and then, yeah, many people would say that this series is inspired by Jurgen Klopp, but I don't know about that. But it was a really good series, and I suggest everyone also, uh, watch that because you can learn many things from it. Also, he deals with many negative comments, very negative environment, uh, very toxic environment and people, and he kind of gradually teaches them how to be a good person, and he changes all of the people around him in a good way. So yeah, Ted Lasso.
Well, I've heard so many things about that series. I've seen so many short clips about that, and it is on my wish list. I may probably see that in the future. But yeah, that's pretty good. For me, uh, well, to be honest, I really like the characteristic of Franz Kafka, uh, that the famous German author. We all know him for his insane novels. Uh, Franz Kafka was a very sad person. You know, it's really hard to deal with that sadness, that solitude, uh, and related to what we talked previously. He was really looking for validation from his father. It's very famous, but he never could get it, and he was very sad because of that. I really like his characteristic and how, with all that sadness, he could manage his life and he could manage to write so many good novels. And yet, with all that things, he didn't want his novels to be published. he told one of his friends that he has stored all the books and novels in some sort of box, I guess, and he told his friend to burn them all after I died. But his friend, fortunately or unfortunately, didn't do that. And now we have so many different novels completed or not completed from Franz Kafka. And we can see that sadness in his life. But the fact that he continued living, uh, well, he couldn't take validation from his father, the
Yeah.
thing he was looking for the most. He also loved a girl called Carolina, I guess. He couldn't get that girl either. So he couldn't get validation from his parents, or he couldn't get the person he liked. And with all that heartbreaking events, he still managed to continue living. And
Yeah.
I really like his characteristics. I really like his books, and I wish I could be, you know, as tolerable like him,
Mhm.
because so many things happen in life, especially for me because of those hard work at university. Uh, so many days I keep thinking and wondering what would happen if I wouldn't do all this stuff? What would happen if I didn't take this second major? What would have happened if I have taken another path? But generally, I try to keep going because that's life. That's life. And with all the sadness, with all the pressures, all the worries, and all the solitude. Sometimes, yes, you're just alone and there's no one with you, and you have to keep going. You have to keep going. And I try to think about all those good people, not just Franz Kafka, even other philosophers, thinkers, and those who wrote incredible novels. I try to be a little like them to deal with this life. You know,
Yeah.
Fyodor Dostoevsky, Leo Tolstoy, they're all great novelists who were dealing with deep sadness and very horrible situation, but they kept going. They kept going, and they knew they have to move on. Life keep going, keeps going, and then you have to deal with it. You need to learn how to
Yeah.
leave. So that's kind
Yes.
of my thing.
Yeah. And to just acknowledge what you said about feelings. Um, uh, an emotionally aware person or emotionally intelligent person is someone who is aware of what emotions come to him, whether they are good or bad, and what are their names, and is someone who don't try to escape from them, because escaping from sadness, escaping from doubtfulness is not possible. It is possible, but it will not do anything for you. It will not solve your problem. The thing that will help you is to try to sit down with that sadness or doubtfulness and just let it be. If you're sad, okay, let you be sad. Why not? Sometimes you need to be sad also.
Yes.
And just trying to get away from them makes everything worse, because it will give you the worry that will be with you for a longer period. So thank you for joining in to our podcast. I hope that listeners will listen to it and get the most out of it, which is the goal of the podcast. Um, and yeah, thank you for listening to this also.
Well, thank you for holding this podcast. It was a great experience for me,
Oh,
and I hope listeners get the most out of it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Thank you.